Hi, my name is Michaela. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for being here. It means a lot to me. I hope that everybody is staying safe during this time that seems to be compoundly getting worse every day. I'm going just slightly stir crazy. I haven't left my house in a long time. And this is a socially accepted way for me to talk to myself, which is why I'm doing it. And I'm going to try and do it as much as possible in the coming weeks and days. Not only because of that, I also would like to kind of give you ideas and to get you motivated on something that you could be doing during this time. I know it's not everybody's experience, but a lot of us have time. A lot of us have unlimited time to sit at home. And I think it's important to try and motivate yourself and to get yourself up and doing things and excited about ways that you can grow and improve yourself during this very difficult time. So I hope that you might watch one of these videos and it might start something in your mind of, oh, maybe I could start thinking about writing a song. Or maybe this is something that I've always wanted to do, but I never knew where to start. So this is hopefully going to be giving you that stepping stone that you need, and I really hope that it is. What I want to talk about today is literal versus abstract storytelling. When you're writing a song, you are trying to tell a story. That is the bedrock and the foundation of a song. That's where you need to start from. You don't write a song first and then figure out the story later. You very much need the story as a place to start, and then the song kind of grows from there. But there are so many different styles and techniques and options for you to tell your story. The very broad way to think about it is that there is a literal route and an abstract route. And there are benefits and drawbacks to each style. You can very much mix and match and play around with both, and I would recommend that you do. We will start today with literal storytelling. This is you telling a story exactly as it happened. If somebody asks you, how was your weekend? You're gonna just be very clear and very specific about what happened to you, so that there's no room for anybody to kind of take your story and twist it in a different way, because you're really giving all the details and all the information. In terms of the voices that you can use, there are three. That is first person, second person, and third person. So if you're kind of unsure about what that means, basically first person is when you're telling a story from your perspective. Second person is when you are speaking to somebody and your story is very much related to them and how it affects them and your relationship in some way. Third person is when you're telling a story about somebody that is separate from you. So their story doesn't necessarily impact your current state of being or your perspective. First person is I, me. Second person is you. Third person is he, she, they. First person storytelling is when you want to give the story from your experience. Very true to what happened to you, very true to how you felt, very true to what you want to do about it or what you want to do going forward. A very good example of this is Piano Man by Billy Joel. This is him very clearly explaining an experience that he had. This is his perception of what was going on. First person is very much about you. In a way, it's a very interesting way to tell a story because you're really giving people an insight into you and your experience. But it can also be limited in a way because you're not really opening up the walls of perception beyond yourself. Second person literal storytelling is very common, especially in love songs. This is you saying what you want from somebody, how you feel about somebody, what you wish would happen with somebody, what you want somebody to know. It's coming from you, but it's directed at somebody else. Our very dear friends in the bubblegum pop realm illustrate this very well through their love songs. So, What Makes You Beautiful by One Direction. You are sitting over here, you're watching what's happening to somebody else, and you are telling them what their story is. It's obviously from your perspective, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's true from their side. I appreciate the storytelling style in terms of the way that people can apply it to their own lives in some way. It's also a good way for these pop artists, or even beyond that, rock stars, where they are these sex symbols. So you'll have this poster up on your wall of this pop star, and you listen to the song on the radio of him singing about you, this general you. And you can easily say, oh, he's talking about me. He loves me. He thinks that I'm beautiful. And if only I could see it. It's a storytelling technique that is literal, but also very applicable. You can compare this One Direction song with a general you to a song like Hey There Delilah by the Plain White T's. So this is again a second person storytelling style, but it is directed at a very specific person in this Delilah. So the third voice that you can use in terms of literal storytelling is third person. This is a story in which you are not the focus. It's still coming from you and your perspective, so there is still a bias, just inherently. A great example of the third person storytelling voice is Don't Stop Believing by Journey. He's talking about people that are away from him and that are not involved in his day-to-day life. So this is a good technique to use when you would like to tell a very specific story, but you don't have an experience that relates to the story that you would like to express. Because it's still about you. You're still the person that's choosing to tell the story. Therefore, in a way, it is your story, even though it is the third person that's separate from you. So in terms of the very broad understanding of a literal storytelling style, there are pros and cons. If you're using something very literal, there's not a lot of room to move because you're saying this is what it is, and you're telling the audience what it is. You're not giving any room for them to interpret it, but you're not really giving yourself room to explore a story in different and interesting ways. It also depends on the kind of reason that you're creating and the function of what you're creating and what you hope that it will achieve. The pros of this kind of technique are obviously that it's a very simple and easy way to approach storytelling because you're not using any bells or whistles. You're just saying this is what happened. It's a good way if you're kind of just getting started also to just kind of play with structure and with rhymes. So it might be a good place to start if you're very, very new. So the different road that you can take when you're storytelling and when you're writing a song is the abstract route. So I might be starting from a very personal and specific experience, but I can kind of let it grow and let it morph into something that's a little bit bigger than that. There are obviously so many ways that you can approach this kind of storytelling, and it is so vast, and I will definitely be making more videos going into a deeper dive of this. But a good place to start thinking about it is through metaphors and similes. So what is the difference between a metaphor and a simile? A simile is a direct comparison. So you are saying that this is like this. In a simile, you need to use the comparative words like or as. So a metaphor is also a comparison, but it's much more interpretive and it's much more open and broad. I love metaphors. I love them. Pretty much all of my songs are metaphors. There are obviously so many songs that use these devices to tell their story. I will just give you 2 examples just to kind of help you think about it and see them. A good song that uses a simile to tell their story is Like Gold by Vance Joy. So this is how he's exploring his situation through a direct comparison to something else. So when you're thinking of gold, you're thinking of something that's very valuable. So he's comparing his relationship to gold. So when we're hearing this comparison, it's easy to understand directly, okay, he's going from this to this, and I understand why he's doing that. There are hundreds of thousands, millions of songs that use metaphors. As an example, I will give you this song, Shine a Light by Banners. It's obviously a metaphor for the fact that he was lost and that he's looking for help. It's not saying exactly what happened and this is an exact comparison. It's something that is more broad and something that is much more interpretive. So you can hear it and you might, so I'm interpreting it this way. I'm hearing it as he's saying that he was lost. You could also take it as saying he feels like he was very overwhelmed by something and that he needs help. I like metaphors for this reason, because it is so open to interpretation, and this means that people can hear it and really liken it to something that's going on in their lives. The drawbacks of this style is that it's very easy to take it too far. You don't want to over-stylize your lyrics for no reason. You don't want to go to the most obvious comparison, but you also don't want to go to the farthest one that you can ever think of. It can get very pretentious very quickly if you're not being mindful. I will also be making a playlist, which I will link below, on Spotify, which will have all of the songs that I've referenced in this video, just so that you can hear them again and really listen to what they're saying and understand how they're telling a story and how it suits into each level of storytelling that I've mentioned. It would also be a good idea for you to maybe write down each of the storytelling techniques that I've mentioned and go and find songs that you feel fall into each category. Once you start understanding how other people tell stories, it might just give you a little bit more insight in how you can better tell your story. And that, I think, is just about it for today. If you have any songs that you think capture these different ways of storytelling that I didn't mention, please let me know in the comments. I hope that this is helpful. Again, I hope that we are all staying safe and that we are all finding ways to keep ourselves sane during this very difficult time. And I wish you all the best. I will be coming out with a lot more videos in the next few weeks, so you can subscribe if you'd like to. And I will see you next time. Bye.